Hey guys, today we're back at the beach the day after the storm of January 13th, 2024. If you want to watch my other video to see the damage that was caused by that, I decided to come back out here today to give you some drone footage of what it looks like along the wall and the beach, show all the sand that's gone. Don't worry, it's all going to come back. So, got a lot to show you. We're going to get after it right now.
All right, guys, right off the bat, let's talk about the sand, coming in every season. Now, if you're familiar with Crescent Beach, you're like, hey, where's all the sand? And that's because the sand comes in starting in July. So it's a little bit in June. And so the majority of the year, it looks like this. Lose all the sand by the end of October, I would say. Sometimes, it depends on the season, right? So just to give you an idea, pay attention to those stairs right over there. I want to give you a few pictures that I've taken of this here, just to give you an idea of how much sand I'm talking about. All right, there's the stairs. Now, you're probably thinking, well, how much sand is really there? Like 4 feet, 5 feet? It depends on the time of the year. I've seen the sand actually cover those first 2 steps. So what I did is I asked a couple that was walking by to stop for a second, and he said he was 6 feet tall. Let's take a look at that. All right, there he is. But now you're thinking, gosh, it's hard to tell where the sand level is now because, you don't have the 2 pictures side by side. All right, let's take a look at that. All right, so what I did is I placed these photos over each other just to give you an idea, and I'll draw a dotted line there to give you an idea of how buried these people would be right now. All right, now let's draw our second line because I've actually seen the sand go this high in this area. So just give you an idea, the sand washes in and out every year, but most of the time it's barren rock. The reason I like to point that out, guys, if you're buying real estate and you're looking in the summer and you see lots of sand, you're like, wow, this is great, Well, you need to be aware of that the sand comes and goes. And because a lot of the sand leaves, that means your tide is going to be a lot higher, even at medium tide, which, let me show you what tide looks like right now. And there's where we are at the tide right now. See that? We're not even at half tide right now, guys. And yesterday, the high tide was way over there. So to give you an idea, if it were high tide right now, the water would be halfway up the wall. In the summertime, because all the sand comes in, at high tide, the water might touch the wall. All right, I stopped the footage one more time here, guys, because I wanted to show you, this is the house that I sold back in 2018. I want to give you some video of what the storms look like when they're coming through the wall in the wintertime. And this wasn't even a bad storm. It was just, high tide with some heavy seas. Take a look. Okay, guys, so that'll give you a good idea of what this storm was like. It was much worse than what I just showed you. So let's get back to the drone footage and take a look at what this storm did to some of these homes.
Guys, Margaret and I love putting these videos together for you. Our first job is working as realtors here in York County, Maine, along the seacoast and inland. If you want to go look at a property and you want to work with a realtor who's familiar with the area, please consider giving Margaret or I a call. Thank you.
All right, guys, let's take a look at some of the footage here. And the seawalls, most of them are fine. There was some destruction further down. I'll show you that in a second. If you want to know how to build a proper seawall, take a look at my other video. Let's take a look right here. Now, this is a common theme, guys, as we go across the beach. Some of these homes are older. They're lower to the ground. And what happened is the waves came over the seawall, mixed with the lawn and sand that they have, and then it either dragged the sand back over the seawall into the ocean or it pushed it down between the houses into the street. And you can see because they weren't designed to today's specs for the increase in ocean level, that the porches got destroyed. So as we go along to the right, you're going to see that, the ocean's different now. So the newer houses tend to survive. They just put in new lawns and fix up around the property, but the houses are fine, guys. But you have to have a good seawall as well. And what I mean by fine, guys, is that structurally, a lot of these places are still fine. Sure, they got a lot of water damage and things like that. But, okay, let's take a look at this one right now. On this one, you can see that obviously the wall collapsed. Generally, they fall forward in the ocean. Sometimes they fall back in. Once the water was able to get in, it undermined a lot of the gravel that was under the cement platform, which I love on a seawall because it helps push the water around the house so it goes down into the street. But unfortunately got undermined. Now, once this happens, what I try to tell people is your seawall and your property is only as good as your neighbor's seawall. So unfortunately, you see on the right there that they started having problems on the right and to the left because the seawall of this property failed. It stinks, it's just kind of the way things work. Now, the foundation under the house started getting compromised. So this one could see some significant property damage. You want to make sure you have a home inspection before you buy any of these houses along this area. All right, let's keep cruising along here so that we can see some more of these properties. Yeah, see that house right there, built on pilings, newer construction, and look at his property. You'll get out there and clean it up. And if you build like this, guys, if you buy an old house and tear it down and you build it on pilings and you build it properly, sure, you might have a little bit of flooding. Just build your house up a little bit more and recover in the spring. Let's keep going there.
Guys, if you're finding this video informative and you're a giving person, please give it a like. I know it's small, but it really helps us a lot. Thank you.
Let's take a look at this property right here. It's pretty new, built about 10 years ago. And I remember when this property was being built, all on pilings. They redid the seawall, and look at the damage, guys, right? Threw a bunch of rocks up there. They've got proper storm shutters on there. The ocean is changing. So as the water comes around this house, and even if it's not a storm necessarily, it's just high tide with high seas, this guy is picking up rocks off of his lawn every time. So what you do is you just wait till the spring and you do it all at once, before summer. But, this is a new house built to new standards. And, he tore down the property that was there. Looks like he's got to replace some of his fence there. But basically still a great investment. These properties are still going up in value every single year. So a great investment. And like I said, guys, I'm a realtor. I'm familiar with the area. If you want to list your property or sell your property, please consider reaching out to us. Thanks. All right, let's keep cruising down the beach towards Forbes. Get an idea of what some of the other houses look like. Okay, what I want to point out here, guys, is when you try to extend your seawall up in the air like that with boards and a fence, the ocean's going to snap them right off. We have rough seas in the wintertime all the time, and high tides, not a storm, and the waves will come and they'll break those boards. Obviously it did. So, and then this guy's porch unfortunately got clobbered. What you can do is put string through all the posts, and I used to do that every spring, and that way it would look pretty, provided a barrier to people like, hey, you don't want to go past the fence here. The string obviously is not strong, it's not that safe, but you just can't do wire. I've seen people do wire thinking, oh, the water will just go right through. It doesn't. It forms icicles, and then what happens is the icicles connect all the wires. It becomes a solid sheet of ice. You're out there trying to break it like I was in the middle of a storm, getting soaked. And the big waves come, they hit the wall of ice and they snap your fence. What I used to do is just go around in the fall and cut all the string. It was really tough nylon string, almost like rope. But I just cut it off in the fall, and that way my post would be there every spring. You learn to adapt. On the right-hand side, you're seeing all those boulders. DEP will not allow you to add any more boulders in front of your seawall. Now, I do see people doing it. It's definitely a good idea to add boulders if they would allow you to. You will see people bring in excavators in the spring and repile up the boulders because you're not allowed to add more. You can see that this guy has an older house, older construction, lost his porch over there too. He's got some repairs to do. But still, guys, a great investment. I know some of you guys are raising your eyebrows on that great investment comment, but what I mean is that, if you tear these houses down, you rebuild them to new specs, I was getting almost $15,000 a week for my property. So that's a good investment. Just build it correctly and you'll do well with these properties.
In the description down below, you'll find a relocation guide, and inside you'll learn all about the towns in southern Maine, compare and contrast their populations, and get an idea of whether or not they have much of a downtown area. Are they more of a bedroom community? Whether there's any fresh bodies of water, which you're not going to find along the seacoast. The relocation guide is free. Again, you'll find a link to it in the description down below.
All right, let's keep cruising down the beach, guys, taking a look at some of these properties. I know some of you are curious. You want to see your own property. Hopefully I've got footage of it for you. I did walk inland as well in the other video. Remember, that link to that one is in the description down below, where I walk on the roadside as well to give you an idea of what happened to some of the properties, even along Fisherman's Cove, if you want to see that as well. So you'll find that really interesting. All right, let's keep headed north on the beach here, and we're headed towards Forbes. Now, I'm not going to go the whole distance of Wells Beach all the way down to the jetty, so I just want to show you up here. The waves do not hit this area to the beach as hard, and you'll notice they've all got concrete all the way to the houses. That's the way, if you could, that's the way you ought to build it, concrete all the way to the house. And that's the way I built my house in Florida, but I don't think the code will allow you to do that anymore either. So yeah, some real restrictions in there, guys, that make it kind of tough. So what we're going to do is I'm just kind of giving you a view of the marsh, and up here from a bird's eye, it looks like, oh, everything looks great. And I'll cruise along the top of the seawalls to give you just another final view. I love putting these videos together for you. Please, guys, leave a comment down below if I can improve them somehow, or if you've got a comment that adds value to the video, please be nice. So I lived in this area right on the beach for about 10 years, and I loved it. I came here for the school system. I wanted my kids to go to a great school system. Wells is fantastic, and living on the beach was really fun. But I rented it out every summer because I also have a house in Sanford on about 100 and some odd acres that I'm trying to build a campground on. I'll leave a link to that down below as well, in case you're interested in learning about the campground that I'm trying to build. All right, here we're coming up on the seawall there that took heavy damage, so I'll just kind of swoop in there and show you what all that looked like. Yeah, it's just terrible, guys. It's very expensive. It'll cost them well over $100,000 to replace that. So just get an idea. A lot of the sand, guys, is in the street. There was like 3 feet of sand in some areas behind these houses, and of course I have footage on all of that in my other video. There's the house that I sold right there, and those stairs that I asked those people to stand in front of are right there, guys.
All right, guys, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you found it really informative. Please remember to give it a like, and until next time, Margaret and I hope to show you around town.